Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you are brand new, I want to say hi and welcome. Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. So if you guys are brand new to my channel, my name is Alyssa and I enjoy making tarot pick a card readings like this one. And in today's video, we are going to look at what is coming up next for you. So this can really be anything. This is very much like a timeless reading, meaning that anytime you happen to stumble upon this video, hopefully these messages that come through are meant to find you and help you along in your journey. Okay, so we're going to kind of look ahead. This is kind of like how I like to do my week ahead videos. But I just honestly felt really called to just shuffle the cards and allow the messages to kind of come through. So I really hope that, what comes through is what hopefully will resonate with you. Okay, so we've got 4 piles to choose from today. We have pile number 1 with the amethyst crystal, pile number 2 with citrine, pile number 3 with rose quartz, and pile number 4 with clear quartz. Okay, so if you need to, go ahead and pause the video to meditate on which pile you are feeling most drawn to. As always, I will have the timestamps listed in the description box. So once you have selected your pile, you can go ahead and fast forward to your reading. Okay, so again, we have pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I will see you guys at your pile selection. Hey group 1, so if you guys selected the amethyst crystal, then this is your reading. So we are going to go ahead and get started with your tarot cards, and then we will go ahead and go through your oracle cards. Okay, so the first card we have is the Queen of Emotions, also known as the Queen of Cups. Next, we have the Hierophant in reverse. Next card, we have the World of Cosmos, or the World card in reverse. And last, we have the Death card in reverse. Okay. So what is coming up for you guys, or what are you guys currently maybe dealing with? Okay, so group 1, right off the bat, what really seems to be standing out to me is this Queen of Emotions card. Now, the reason why I say that is because the Queen of Cups is very much someone who is very in tune with their intuition. You might be feeling very emotional at the moment. Whether you have a full control of them or not, it's almost as if though your emotions are kind of just ruling your mind at the moment. Okay, you almost can't help but feel everything that's just kind of going on around you. And honestly, it can be kind of overwhelming, I feel like, at some points. And I'll explain why I say overwhelming. Okay, now with the rest of your cards that you have here, you have the Hierophant in reverse, the World, and the Death card all in reverse. So I do apologize for my neighbors. Okay, so sorry about that. But the reason, what I was saying was that the reason why I'm getting that sense of maybe just feeling overwhelmed is because with these cards here in reverse, this is kind of telling me that there is almost like a resistance, to something that's being presented to you. And what I mean by that is like a resistance to change. The Death card usually does represent just change, natural change. Oftentimes it's usually change for the better, whether we may realize that in the moment or not. But the Death card ultimately, I think is a beautiful card in the sense that this is a good time to start fresh, start something new. But I'm getting the strong sense that this is something that you guys might be hesitating to move towards or to kind of go with the flow with. Okay. With the World card in reverse, this kind of tells me that things are kind of out of sorts with you. It almost feels as if though you don't really have a handle on what's going on. And I think this is probably why most of you feel, this intense sense of emotion, because it's like, I can't control this change. I can't control what's going on around me. And I'm not liking the fact that I almost have to conform, to this new way, so to speak. Okay. And that's what the Hierophant in reverse pretty much kind of deals with, with this whole sense of feeling like, you want to go against the status quo, so to speak. Like, whatever it is that these rules are being implemented or these changes are being implemented, I'm getting the strong sense that you're almost like resisting or not wanting to really go with the flow, so to speak, or go with this, change. Okay. Now, the World card is also interesting too here in reverse, because as I mentioned, things may seem like they're out of your control. And you can almost feel hopeless, I feel like, in some sense, because of the fact that this change that is coming about is without your, I feel like this is really something that wasn't a change in which you were wanting, or you were really hoping would, occur, but it's like, it's going to happen. It's happening. You kind of have to learn to have to go with it. But I think this is why the emotions are so high strung at this point, because you don't know how else to feel. It's just, it's kind of coming to a head, so to speak. Okay. Now, with everything that is currently going on in the world, I can very much understand why some people might be resistant, to change, especially when it comes to the COVID situation, as far as like when it comes to becoming our new norm with new social distancing practices, different requirements for businesses to reopen, things of that nature. For a lot of people, they don't want to necessarily accept that this is going to be our new normal, that this is going to be a permanent change, so for some, that might resonate in that regard. But again, that's just one example of like how, resisting to a type of change can play into effect, and how this can really weigh heavy on, your emotions. All right. So let's take a look at your oracle cards as well. Maybe we can get a little bit more clarification as well. Okay. So these are your astrological oracle cards. The first one that we have is in the 7th house. So the 7th house typically deals with balance. This primarily focuses on, partnerships, working together, being very fair. Okay. All about working well with others, or again, just trying to keep yourself into a sense of balance. Now, I'm getting the strong sense that a lot of you may feel very out of balance at the moment, which is why your emotions are very high at the moment. And I feel like in order for you to kind of get back to maybe like a clearer headspace or a more level playing field, so to speak, it might be time to just allow yourself to feel your emotions, go through them, naturally. And once you cried it out, if you need to, or you've just kind of dealt, with the heaviness of that, then that's when things start to become a little bit clearer. That's when you can kind of think a little bit more logically, so if that is something that you feel called to do, definitely, listen to your intuition, listen to what your body is saying it needs to do right now in order to gain, this sense of rebalance. Okay. Next, we have, for your sign, we have Pisces. So you could be a Pisces, or you could have Pisces in your chart. Okay. This primarily focuses on, your dreams, what it is that you want, how you're trying to go after them. Okay. Being very, spiritually in tune with your intuition. Okay. Trusting your psychic knowledge. All right. And also, again, just kind of being more so, grounded, really. I mean, honestly, like one of the main things about Pisces is that they are very intuitive creatures, very, they kind of have psychic abilities, meaning like once they kind of tap into their intuition, they really can sense, people and things around them. It's, they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like all in tune, you know, with things around them. So, you know, it would make sense, like, you know, with you trying to kind of like regain a sense of balance, you know, through like your emotions, just through your general self. So this might be a good time to kind of reground yourself, you know, for those of you who enjoy being out in nature or being in water, you know, finding a connectedness to the earth in a way that can kind of help clear your mind might be good for you, especially during this time where you're having a difficulty seeing, you know, or being able to navigate moving forward, especially with this change. This might be a good way to kind of help you through that. Okay. So the last card that we have here, this is the South Node. Okay. So the South Node typically deals with our anxieties. Okay. So this can really kind of be that hesitation. This can kind of be, you know, that sense of like, should I, shouldn't I, you know, kind of like that back and forth energy, so to speak. Okay. This can also be a time in which you might feel very cautioned, as well, like whether you should move forward or whether you should go through, you know, with a deal or with, you know, taking this opportunity, whatever it may be. So you might feel, because of the high level of your emotions, you might be constantly doubting yourself or doubting, you know, these opportunities that might be presenting themselves to you, because of the fact that your emotions are very much kind of clouding your judgment at the time, you know, at the moment. So definitely kind of keep that in mind moving forward, in trying to kind of clear yourself of your emotions to where you can be a little bit more clear-minded. Okay. So let's take a look at your other oracle cards that we've got. So we have the Secret Garden oracle cards. The first one that we have is forgiveness. So this says, a crushed flower still gives off a sweet scent. Okay. So this might cause you to have maybe a sense of forgiveness towards others, maybe those that have wronged you in some way, especially going through this resistance of wanting to change. This might cause you to be able to forgive and let go in order for you to be able to accept the change that is needed. Okay. So if this does have to do with a relationship, if you have recently just ended a relationship and, you know, obviously your emotions, rightfully so, would be very elevated at this time. And there's this kind of, you know, resistance to realizing like, my life is going to be different, or things are going to be different, because this person isn't in my life anymore. You know, this might cause you to have to forgive and be able to move on, you know, without them. So, you know, that's just one example in that regard. Okay. The next card we have is Serenity. So this says, value quiet days with only the rustling leaves breaking the silence. Okay, so this might be a really good time as well to really give yourself some alone time. Really kind of dive into your feelings, let it out if you need to, okay? And just give yourself time to recoup, especially if you feel very overwhelmed. Okay. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, with everything that seems to be going on in the world, it makes sense for a lot of people to be very emotional right now. It is an emotional time. Okay. And oftentimes, in order for us to kind of have a clearer headspace, we just need to, you know, give ourselves some alone time, allow us to go through the emotions, and then be able to move forward. Okay. And then last we have is generosity. Sow seeds of kindness. So this is also going to be probably a time where you might feel the need to be a little bit more generous in order to kind of help heal yourself or help heal the feelings that you're feeling at the moment. Okay. So if you feel called to offer, your money, or like as far as like donating money to a good cause, or if you feel called to donate your time to help, with a fundraiser, or, anything in that regard, just something to where maybe you can give back a little, just to kind of help you kind of rebalance yourself, I think will help ultimately in the long run. Okay. So your next oracle card we have is purification. So what I really like about this card in particular is the fact that we've got all the rain in the background. Okay. And it's almost like it's washing away all of, the negativity, right? And it's just kind of bringing out the beauty within. That's what I see when I see this card. This makes me think automatically your emotions. So if you need to release, cry it out. Honestly, like if you feel called, like you're just so emotional at the moment because of what you're currently dealing with, allow yourself to cry. If you don't like crying in front of people, that's really fine. Take solitude, cry, Cry alone if you need to. But honestly, after a good cry, I feel a lot better. So that's sometimes, like I said, just listen to your body. Listen to what it's trying to tell you. If you need to let it out, okay? And I promise you, you'll start to feel better. You'll start to think a little bit more clearly, maybe a little bit more logically, and then you can kind of figure out how you can move forward from there, okay? So I love the fact that that card came through, especially in this regard when we're talking about emotions, okay? Now, the last oracle cards that I have for you guys, these are your lovers oracle cards. I felt called to pull romance cards for you guys just in case, just to see, what could be going on in your romantic life, okay? So the first card that we have says, criticizing one another will only lead to further unhappiness. Love and accept each other as you are, and your relationship will magically transform. Ooh, okay. So if you're currently feeling very emotional due to maybe some issues going on in your relationship, this could be a factor here as far as like criticizing one another. So if you find that, either you're saying things to your partner or they're saying things to you that are clearly leaving you in a very almost like toxic like situation, this might be the time to really, like I said, seek solitude, clear your headspace, and then figure out, okay, do I want to stay or do I need to go? Things of that nature, especially if this is really having an effect on you, okay? And then the last card that we have says, emotions are a natural and necessary part of life, but they can also distort your perception and cloud your vision. In order to see things clearly, you must let go of resentment. Wow. Okay. Super powerful here because the whole theme, I feel like, of this reading has been this Queen of Emotions card. Okay. So the fact that this seems to be very much at the forefront, and it, like I mentioned earlier, our emotions can really kind of cloud our judgment. It can really kind of cloud our mind. That's why I mentioned, just sometimes letting it out and really clearing your mindset, I think will be able to get you to figure out what it is that you need to do next. You can start to listen to your intuition a little bit more. I think listening to that will really help guide you in the direction in which you need to go. And then the resisting as far as like change or, things feeling like they're kind of upside down at the moment, I feel like will start to come right side up again. So Group 1, that was your reading. Definitely let me know in the comment section below if this resonated with you. I would love to hear from you guys. If you did enjoy this reading, please also give it a thumbs up. It truly helps out my channel. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to group number 2. Hi, group 2. So if you guys selected the citrine crystal, I love this crystal, it's so beautiful, then this is your reading. So we are going to go ahead and start with your tarot cards, and then we're going to go ahead and go through your oracle cards. So the first card that we have is the Hanged Muse, also known as the Hanged Man. Next we have Eight of Voices, also known as Eight of Swords. Next we have Seven of Materials, or Seven of Pentacles. And last we have Knight of Inspiration, or Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay, so group 2, what is currently going on or what is about to come your way. So this is pretty interesting. So honestly, what's really interesting about this is I feel like we've got some conflicting things going on here, okay? The main message that I'm really seeing here is patience, okay? And I will explain to you why that I say that. These two cards, we've got the Seven of Pentacles and the Hanged Man. And these typically are talking about, you know, a sense of patience. You know, more so like you were patiently waiting for something to occur, something that you've been really working hard towards, okay? Now, whether this is you trying to get like your business off the ground and going, or whether this is you, you know, trying to start a new project or whatever it may be, you know, like you've planted the seeds, you're patiently waiting for them to grow, right? You're waiting for it to really hit the moment where you can actually reap the benefits, right? But what's interesting is that the Eight of Voices and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse are signifying a sense of impatience, or almost like you're focusing on the negative rather than the positive. So this is why I'm saying it's so conflicting, because these two cards are really just implementing that, like, you know, you just got to be patient, that things will work out, you know, in due time. But for some of you, you are more so feeling very impatient, like, no, I want it, you know, why can't it happen now? Or it's not going to happen the way that I'm expecting it to, you know, and some of you might be acting maybe a little bit careless or not, you know, paying attention to the fine print. So this might be a call for you to really pay attention, okay? And yes, pay attention, you know, have some patience. You know, I feel like that's really kind of like the main message here. This is why there's that conflicting, because it's very much, you know, back and forth. And I feel like that can be how you're feeling. Like you're just like, you know, you need to be patient. You know, you need to wait it out. It will work in due time. But you almost can't help but allow the negative thoughts, the doubt, the self-doubt to creep in, you know, because that's really where the Eight of Swords really comes into play here, because it's almost like you're in a sense of tunnel vision. Like all you can see is the negativity. And instead of seeing, you know, the positivity of what your hard work is really, you know, showing for itself, you almost can't help but focus on, you know, the what ifs scenarios, as far as like if they turn out wrong or if they turn out bad, if that makes sense. Okay. But honestly, I'm getting, just because of the fact that you have it so even, I feel like with these cards, they're really just telling you again, you know, let it be. If you're trying to manifest something currently and you're wondering why your manifestation isn't happening, this could be why. It could be because you're just in your own thoughts too much, and you need to let it go. You need to be able to, you know, trust into the universe that things will work out. You've put in the work, you've put in the effort. Just, you know, let it work itself out. You know, don't try to force things to go the way that you want. Instead, you know, allow it to be, think those good thoughts, you know, and keep pushing forward. Because the more that you stay focused on the what ifs or the negativity, that's when you continue to, you know, seclude yourself, you know, from these opportunities or from actual growth. Okay. So, you know, let's take a look at your oracle cards and maybe we can get a little bit more clarification with everything. Okay. So we have your astrological oracle cards here. So the first one we have is Venus. So this is Venus energy here. Okay. So this is all about art, beauty, charm, you know, very much love, pleasure, attraction, good times, right? Now, this is ultimately what I feel is what you're wanting to aspire to, what you're trying to manifest, right? You want to manifest the good, you know, that you're hoping will come from your manifestation or from what seeds you've planted as far as, you know, these opportunities for yourself. Okay. So the potential is definitely there. Okay. Now, is the focus really there? That's really kind of the main question here. Okay. So the next card we have is Sagittarius. So you could be a Sagittarius, or you could have Sagittarius in your chart. Okay. Or you could just be embodying the energy of a Sagittarian. Now, this kind of makes a little sense to me, as far as, you know, the kind of back and forth. Sagittarians are very wise. They are, you know, forward thinkers. Okay. You know, and they're also very hardworking. However, getting into their shadow selves, they can sometimes be very self-critical. Okay. Now, keep in mind that I feel like with this situation, this would kind of make sense a little bit as to, you know, why you might be kind of going back and forth a little bit. But you guys have potential. Like I said, you're very, very smart. You're very hardworking. And whatever it is that you are trying to go towards, or you're trying to go after as far as like your own personal goal, you know, or whatever it is that you are trying to currently manifest, again, just trust that it will happen and allow it to just do its own thing. You know, don't be so self-critical or just trying to control the situation, as I mentioned earlier. Okay. And then the last sign that we have is Taurus. So again, you could be a Taurus, or you could have Taurus in your chart. This could also talk about just Taurus energy. So this is all about your beliefs. Okay. Now, Taurus is also ruled by Venus as well. So this is really kind of that the main focus here seems to be more so about like being very practical and trying to make things happen. You know, like it's almost like you guys are being, I hate to throw this out there, but maybe a little stubborn, you know, and trying to get out of your own headspace, you know, which would explain, you know, that 8 of Swords energy, like we talked about. You know, you're not really confined to the situation, or you don't have to allow yourself to stay confined in the situation. That's probably better word choice there. But, you know, it's really your own doing, you know, and like I said, if you just kind of trust the process, then, you know, I think you'll start to see, you know, the fruits of your labor, so to speak. Okay. So definitely keep that mind moving forward, that, you know, as you continue, you know, with this manifestation or with this journey, that, you know, things, you know, very well can work themselves out, you know, especially if you put in the work. But you don't have to control every little detail, or you don't have to, you know, really overwork yourself, so to speak, especially when it comes to something that you're really trying to make happen. You know, just sometimes you just need to let happen what will happen. Okay. So definitely something to keep in mind. All right. So let's take a look at your other oracle cards. So the next one we have is Power. Okay. So for me specifically, this is more so kind of talking about letting go of the power to control things, the power to control the situation, also the power to just really stepping into your own power, into your own self-confidence as well. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, you guys, to me, come off as very hardworking, very determined. And I get that. And you should be, especially when you're going after like your goals, you know, you're trying to really, you know, go after what you want. You obviously want to be able to, you know, have a clear mind or clear headspace, and, you know, be able to, you know, really reap the rewards of your success, right? But, you know, we can't really get there and if we're always in our own way, so to speak. Okay. So that to me is more so like how this Power card kind of comes into play here in that regard. Just kind of release the need to kind of control everything, you know, just kind of trust in your own power, that you are capable of producing what you want. Okay. So the next oracle cards we have, these are from the Secret Garden Oracle. So the first we have is surprises. Love this. So this says venture down the rabbit hole. And you might be surprised at what you find. Okay, so again, trust in the process. You might be surprised at what actually comes out. Okay, and next we have self-care. Tend to your garden. Okay, so it's funny that that comes up because that's really kind of like what the Seven of materials or pentacles really kind of represents, like tending to your garden. The more that you nurture it, the more that it will, become plentiful and, abundant. So if you just kind of focus on tending to that and not so much the what ifs, just kind of let things be, that's when you'll start to see the abundance come in. That's when you'll start to see, you'll reap the rewards or, reap the benefits of, your hard work. Okay. So I love that those came in. So I also pulled Lover's Romance Oracle cards for you guys. I really was called to just pull romance cards for this reading. So these may not necessarily have to do with what's going on. This can be a little bit separate. So just take what resonates, okay? So the first one we have is Sacred Union. Honor and treasure your relationship, for it is truly sacred. Okay, love that. And next we have a message for you. I'm thinking of you this very moment. Your love fills me with light. I love you. Oh, I love that. Okay, so this just might be a really nice message, especially if you are in a relationship or if you are you're married, in a relationship, whatnot. This is always really nice just to kind of like have those reminders, especially when going through tough times, when, sometimes we're just too in our own heads. Sometimes we forget about, the love around us. And that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to pull these lover cards, because sometimes just having that simple reminder of like how loved we are can, sometimes give us a breath of fresh air. It can also just allow us to, not be so in our own head. So I hope that definitely did just that for you guys. And group 2, that was your reading. So definitely let me know in the comment section below if this resonated with you. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and consider giving this a thumbs up. It truly helps out the channel. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And we are going to go ahead and move on to group number 3. Hi, group 3. So if you guys selected the rose quartz crystal, then this is your reading. So we are going to go ahead and start with your tarot cards, and then we will go through your oracle cards. So the first one that we have, this is the Muse of Materials, and I believe this is also considered like the King of Pentacles. Next we have Two of Materials, or Two of Pentacles. The Sun, love the Sun. And Ace of Voices. Okay, so group number 3, what do we got going on here? So it looks like there's some exciting news coming your way, or some excitement here, okay? Now, the reason why I say that is because you've got the Sun card and the Ace of Voices. Now, the Sun card is all about new beginnings, new starts, something new and exciting, okay? So this is a really fun time, I feel like, for you guys. Especially if you are starting in a new relationship, or if you are starting a family, something in that regard, as far as like a new beginning. Okay, so this really could just be any little thing. Okay, but this is an exciting time. This is something where I feel like you guys are kind of at a place where things just kind of seem to be, falling into place. Like there's like, you got like a good sense of balance with, work, love life, career, maybe, like things just seem to be going pretty well. Like, it's almost like can't complain, you know? And the reason why I say that as well is because we've got the King of Materials here, or Muse of Materials, excuse me. This is considered the King of Pentacles in the regular tarot deck. And the King of Pentacles is really all about abundance, okay? So this is about, you know, being able to, you know, provide for those you love, you know, just the joy of, you know, living life, you know, being just in a good place. And almost, like I said, just really kind of like having that focus or forefront of like family, loved ones, all of that good stuff. So that's why for some of you, I mentioned, you know, you could be starting a family during this time, or this could be a time in which you're talking about starting a family, and, you know, this could be happening really soon. Okay. So there is definitely some excitement here for sure. Okay. Now, the Ace of Voices, what I love about this too, is this also talks about the new beginnings, but being able to be, you know, thinking clearly too, as to like what you want. So this is really more so putting your ideas out there, putting them, you know, into action. Okay. So like I mentioned, if you are thinking of starting a family, or if this is like something that you and your partner have been talking about for some time, I feel like that's really where you guys are going to like make this happen. You know, like you're working out all the little details as to like, okay, like, is this something we really want? You know, just going over all the ins and outs and, you know, moving forward. Okay. Now, if that doesn't apply to you, if you're not talking about starting a family, you know, like I said, this can really just be anything, starting a new project, maybe considering a change in job or relocation of a home. So if you are thinking of buying a home, this would be a really good time to be able to do that as well. Okay. Because that King of Pentacles there, you know, being able to have a sense of security, you know, within oneself, or just being able to provide for your loved ones, you know, just being in that good place to where you can do that. Okay. So that's really exciting for you guys. Now let's take a look at your other oracle cards so we can kind of get a little bit more clarification. So the first card that we have is in the second house. So this is all about your beliefs, what you value, okay, what you want, getting what you need, okay? So I feel like, you know, the fact that we've got the coins here, this kind of reminds me of like your finances, kind of getting things in order, making sure that, you know, your home life is secure, that you're doing everything that you can just to make sure that there's a strong sense of security here. That's a real thing that I seem to be getting. Okay. Also just, you know, being patient about what it is that you're wanting and how to go for it, go after it. So if you have ideas as to what you want next, if you're wanting to start a family, if you're wanting to buy a home, you know, those things, putting them out there and receiving, you've got a lot of abundance here, you know, with that King of Pentacles and the Sun card here, but also being very patient in the process. Okay. Next we have in the 10th house, so your destiny, where you're going, your career, love that. Next, we have like responsibility, success, become a person of power and status. Ooh, okay. So this kind of reminds me of that King of Pentacles there, okay? Just kind of being very successful, someone who's very responsible, you know, who's got their career in order, you know, just being, you know, pretty comfortable. You know, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily be rich or anything like that. It just means that you're living comfortably. And this is the time where you're shifting your focus more so like on family and home in that regard. Okay. Then we have the 8th house. So this is personal power, mysteries of life, major change. Okay. Then we also have as a life or death issue, getting and using power. So we've got power that was brought up twice. So that's interesting. And then use other people's resources. So again, looking into resources to help you get what you want. So if this means, you know, talking to different realtors, if you're trying to buy a new home, you know, or if you're trying to start a family, just kind of knowing like how to start or go about it, or if you just found out that you're pregnant, you know, reaching out to your resources, things of that nature. Okay. So that is what the cards could be indicating in that regard. All right. Now let's take a look at your other oracle cards. So the first one we have is wisdom. Love that. And then next we have trust. Okay. So the wisdom card for me, I feel like is more so being, you know, what, again, those resources that you're looking into. So just trying to learn as much information right now that's going to benefit you in the future. Okay. Now, in this regard, I feel like for those of you who are trying to buy a home, you could be like I said, doing your research, just trying to figure out, you know, maybe what area you want to live in, you know, how much money you want to spend, you know, as far as like on your mortgage and, you know, crunching numbers, all of that. And it does take a lot of you having to do the research, you know, figure out crunching numbers, all of that, right? So that's where that gaining wisdom, I feel like, comes into play and utilizing those resources, okay? Now, the trust, I feel like this is more so kind of speaking to you directly as far as like trusting the process, okay? Now, for those of you who maybe have been wanting, you know, this change for a while, whether this new beginning, in your life, whether it's starting the family or buying a home. If you've been wanting this for a while, and this is something that you've been patiently waiting for because you've been working hard to get to this point, I feel like this is speaking to you and more so like trusting the process. Trust that this will be worth it in the end, okay? So you guys will definitely, I feel, be very happy with waiting very patiently for this, because this is going to be everything that you've ever wanted and more. That's honestly the vibe that I'm getting from this, okay? So your next oracle card that we have, this is from the Secret Garden Oracle. We have Wildflower. This says, live an uncontrolled life, free to grow anywhere and bound by nothing. Oh, I love this. Okay. So yeah, so just being able to, you know, again, trust in your life, your process, everything. You know, don't feel like you're bound to anything specifically, or there's nothing really holding you back. Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like you guys are just at a place where things are, they're good. There's no real complaints. Okay. So just, you know, live your life, continue that process, and things will continue to, you know, come in abundantly. Okay. So that's really beautiful, guys. Now, the last oracle cards that I pulled for you, these are from the Lovers Oracle cards. Now, I chose to utilize romance cards in here just because I honestly felt called to do so for everyone. So these may or may not have anything directly to do with this reading, but I did still want to implement them though, just in case, because honestly for me, I feel like love messages are something that everyone enjoys to hear, so that was why I use these. So the first one, ooh, all right, soulmate. So your soulmate is already with you in spirit. Believe this and they will manifest physically. Oh, okay. So this new whole beginning process could have to involve your soulmate. So like I said, if this is you guys wanting to buy the home, start a family, love that. Next, we have romance, Cupid's arrow strikes. Ooh, okay. And then we have acceptance is the key to inner peace. At times, we must accept things as they are. There's no point trying to change that which is beyond our control. Okay, very powerful here. So like I mentioned earlier, you know, especially for those of you guys who have been going through wanting, you know, these changes maybe for a while, just ask, maybe be patient just a little bit longer, but trusting that things will come out in your favor so long as you trust the process, guys. Okay, so group 3, that was your reading. I'm really excited for you guys. Definitely let me know in the comment section below if this resonated with you. I would love to hear your guys' stories, you know, of what's going on, what new exciting things are coming your way. So definitely feel free to share down below. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and consider giving this video a thumbs up. It truly helps out the channel. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we are going to move on to our final group. Hey group 4, this is your reading if you guys selected the clear quartz crystal. So if you guys were watching any of the other videos, you're wondering why the lighting is a little bit different. It's getting darker where I'm at, so I actually just had to open up my blinds a little bit. I kind of like the ambiance of the candle, so we're going to keep it this way as long as the light holds up. So, so I do apologize. All right, so we're going to start with your tarot cards today, and then we're going to go ahead and go through your oracle cards, okay? So the first card we have is the Queen of Voices in reverse, also known as the Queen of Swords. Next, we have Four of Materials, also known as Four of Pentacles. Three of Voices in reverse. Three of Swords. Four of Inspiration, also known as Four of Wands. And last but not least, we have Three of Inspiration, which is known as the Three of Wands in reverse. Okay. Let's make this a little bit clearer for you guys. Okay. So group 4, what have we got going on here, guys? So this seems to be pretty interesting here, okay? So we're actually going to start here with the Queen of Voices, also known as the Queen of Swords. So what's interesting here is that when the Queen of Swords is in the reverse position, this usually indicates the feeling of being almost ice cold. They kind of consider, you know, the Queen of Swords in reverse more so like an ice queen, meaning that you might be feeling very emotional at this point, almost to the sense of that your emotions are more so kind of clouding your judgment, reacting maybe a little bit more sharply than maybe you would normally, okay? This could also be indicating that there is just a lot of stress or a lot of almost like anxiety kind of clouding your mind really at the moment. So because of that, you're almost like lashing out maybe at other people or just those that are close to you, instead of really like talking it out or really confiding in those close to you, like how you're feeling. It's almost like you're kind of being shut off or shut down, to the point where, you know, like you want to talk to people, you want to tell them, you know, how you're feeling, but it's like you just don't allow yourself to, or you just almost don't know how, okay? And what's interesting is that with the Four of Materials, it's almost like you're keeping things close to, like you're keeping things almost under like lock and key. So typically that, you know, the Four of Pentacles really kind of deals with like finances, or it can, but in this part in particular, like I'm getting this strong sense like this is more so speaking to like you, like you're keeping yourself under lock and key. Like I don't really want to tell people what's going on, or I don't really want to confide. I just don't want to talk to anyone. Being almost very closed off, okay, for some reason. Now, it's interesting because the Three of Swords here, and when it's in the reverse, this means that you're ready to let this go. Like you're ready to let go of this pain, this hurt that has caused you to maybe react in this way. Like I feel like most of you are at this point where maybe this has kind of been going on for maybe a minute, where you've been very closed off to people. You haven't really confided in them in the way that you kind of wish you could have. But I feel like for most of you, you're at this point where you're like, you know what? I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to have this hang over me. I don't want to, you know, be in this vicious circle anymore. Like I want to get out. I want to break free of, you know, this headache, you know, whatever it is that's just been holding me back. And I want to feel better. That's really what I'm getting with that Three of Swords here. Okay. Now, in order to really kind of get to where you want to go, you really have to kind of get to that point where you stop seeing these obstacles or these issues that you maybe have been going through that has kind of gotten you to this point. Stop seeing them as like permanent barriers. Instead, look at it as something that you can overcome, okay? Because that's really where this Three of Wands here in reverse to me symbolizes that even though you guys want to get here, you want to be able to be close with others or be able to confide in others and really share with them like how you're feeling, why it is that maybe you've been feeling so low lately or feeling almost so trapped in your own thoughts. It's almost as if though there is a little bit of hesitation there. Like even though you ultimately want to break free of this feeling, there is still some little bit of hesitation. Okay. So I definitely want to, let you guys know, especially those of you who are really feeling stuck at the moment in your own thoughts. And if you do feel this way, I truly hope that this message resonates and it brings clarity, and hopefully this will allow you the opportunity to see that it's okay to confide in those that are close to you, to confide in those in which you trust. And if you don't have anyone that's close to you that you can do that, going to get help. That is always an alternative. That is always an option. There is always someone to listen to you, especially if you feel like no one normally does or they'll understand. There is someone out there who will. Okay. So I really just had to get that message out there. I feel like somebody needed to hear that, whether it was only one person or not. Like I feel like very strongly that needed to get out. So, please do so if you find that you're, stuck in this situation. Okay. So let's take a look at your oracle cards. Maybe we can get a little bit more clarity with what's going on here. Okay. So with your astrological oracle cards, the first one that we have is the moon. Okay. So this makes a little bit more sense now. Okay. So the moon typically deals with our shadow selves. And with our shadow self, we oftentimes tend to neglect it or tend to try to forget that it's even there. Everyone has light and dark within them. Okay. That doesn't mean, we're evil or, necessarily anything like that. It just means that we have a shadow side to ourselves that sometimes we aren't always necessarily proud of, or that we necessarily really want to acknowledge, but it is there. It's part of us. Okay. So this could be causing you to have to really reflect. Okay. Except this could show why maybe you are feeling very defensive at the moment, especially if you've been, very sharp tongue lately, like you maybe overreact in certain situations, or you're trying to get people to back off when they're inquiring things about you. So this is really kind of telling you to tap into your feelings and really try to understand, why are you feeling this way? What is causing you to react in the manner in which you've been reacting? Okay. And recognizing like, hey, I don't want to feel this anymore. Okay. So if that is the case, for those of you who feel very strongly that that's what's going on, that you don't want to be in the situation, maybe this is a good time to recognize what it is that has kind of gotten you into this situation and how you can find a way to maybe talk to somebody to help get you out. Okay, because I'm really getting the strong sense that for a lot of you, this isn't a situation which you want to be in, obviously. Like you want to be able to confide in someone. You want to be able to have those close relationships with your families or your friends. But for some reason, there is that blockage, and it could be because of the shadow self energy. Okay, so next we have Capricorn. So either you could be a Capricorn or have Capricorn in your chart, or you could even be dealing with a Capricorn in this situation as well. So if somebody has maybe kind of helped put you in the situation, whatever it may be, this is something that has come up. So this is more so kind of focusing on, I just really read it, focusing on more so like what it is that you want. Okay. So being very realistic, trying to be a little bit more transparent, going after like your goals as far as like trying to get yourself out of this funk, so to speak. Okay. So this Capricorn energy is really all about trying to keep yourself together during this point. Okay. So just trying to you know, really focus on yourself, okay? Now, the last sign that we have is Scorpio, okay? So again, you could either be a Scorpio or have Scorpio in your chart, or you could be dealing with a Scorpio, okay? So Scorpios are very emotional creatures as well, but they're also very, they're very powerful. For sure. Okay. Powerful in their emotions, powerful with their wit. You obviously don't want to upset a Scorpio, you know, they will sting you. Okay. And that to me kind of really speaks to that Queen of Swords energy here in reverse. Okay. So if you are a Scorpio and you are dealing with your shadow self, this can be a difficult time, especially when trying to remain in control, okay, of the situation. So I know it says control the situation. And so one thing I didn't really explain with the other decks with these cards is you can kind of read these together to give specific messages, okay? Or you could just kind of read them as is. So in this reading, I'm just reading them as they are. But this is more so kind of speaking to like how like the highs and lows of, you know, the Scorpio energy. Sometimes they can, you know, have a sense of secrecy about them. There's almost a sense of mystery to Scorpios as well. Obviously they are very in tune with sensuality, sexuality, things of that nature. So if, you know, that plays a role in this situation, you know, that could be one of the reasons why, you know, the moon comes into play, you know, dealing with the shadow self. Maybe something has come about that you're not necessarily proud of or feeling that great about. And so this seems to be kind of plaguing your mind at the moment. You don't really want to share with others about necessarily how you're feeling. So that's where that can kind of come into play. Okay. Let's get a little bit more clarification though, because I definitely want to try to give you guys as much info as possible with this. The first one we have is leadership. Okay, so that's interesting. Well, I'm going to leave that there for a minute. Next, we have protection. Okay, and action. Okay. Okay, so now this kind of makes sense with the leadership card, because at first, honestly, I was a little unclear, but the protection and action card kind of are making a little bit more sense to me now. So the protection, for sure, I get that sense, really speaks to that Four of Pentacles card. As I mentioned earlier, just feeling the need to kind of like keep things under lock and key, almost like protecting yourself or protecting your emotions, okay? From being more hurt than what you truly are. Like, I feel like for some of you, if you feel the need, or not feel the need, excuse me, how do I want to word this? I'm not getting too excited. If you are wanting to share with those close to you, but you're afraid of what they would say, or you're afraid of their reaction towards you, if they learned the truth, so to speak, about why maybe you're being maybe a little bit more closed off than normal, I feel like that is what would hurt you more. Like, you almost don't want to face that that mirror, so to speak, like if you were to be upfront about something, okay? So that could be indicating that protection. Now, the action card for me, I feel like, is really telling you, you know what, you do need to take some action here. You clearly are at a place where you want to be able to let go of this negativity or of this you know, heaviness that has been weighing on you, this hurt, okay? And the only way that you can really do that is by, you know, taking the necessary action, you know, to help clear your mind, to help clear this negativity, okay? So I feel like that's really where the action card can come into play. Now, the leadership, not gonna lie, the leadership kind of threw me off initially, but the more that I'm looking at this, the more that I feel like this is kind of like taking leadership or taking the lead of your own emotions here, like being able to kind of like move forward, kind of similar like with that action card, okay? But being almost at the point where you kind of take ownership or take leadership of your feelings and doing what you know is right in order to kind of render this situation, if that makes sense. Okay. So this might cause you to have to take the first step to do what you can, especially if you don't want to and you're resisting. You know, if you feel like, no, I don't want to tell so-and-so, or I don't want to like really acknowledge that this happened, or I don't want to acknowledge, you know, this or that. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is taking ownership. Okay. And that requires you to kind of be a leader in a sense that you are going to take charge. You're going to, you know, take ownership of your own, you know, responsibilities and move forward. You know, look at yourself, look at the situation and say, okay, it is what it is, but here's how I want to, you know, do better, or here's how I want to feel better, you know, whatever it may be. Okay. So that is kind of how I interpret that. All right. So your last couple oracle cards that we have, so we have, these are from the Secret Garden Oracle. The first one we have is Dare. Take a risk and fly. I love this. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to go after, take a step in the right direction. Okay. I promise, I know it's going to feel very scary, but I guarantee you'll start to feel a lot better once you take that first step. Okay. And then the next we have Strength. Don't let weeds and thistles cultivate in your garden. Okay. So this is pretty powerful because the longer that you allow this negativity, or should I say these thoughts, to circulate in your mind, the longer that they're going to stay and the longer you're going to feel unhappy. Okay. So if you are ready to move past, to move on, you have to find that inner sense of strength in order to move forward. I know it's scary. I know it's hard, especially for some of you. This might be a really challenging time. But Spirit is really calling for you to be able to find your inner strength, to be able to do that, to be able to surround yourself with those who love and care about you. So that way you can confide in someone and really find a way to feel heard. I think is really kind of the main thing here, is just to be able to feel heard and feel, validated for your feelings. And regardless of what has occurred, you can get past this. You can move forward. Okay. So the final oracle cards that we have, I did feel called to pull Lover's Oracle messages for all of the piles. One thing I did mention with everyone is these don't necessarily have to resonate 100% with the reading that I just did. I just felt called to pull extra messages for you guys. So take them as they will. They may or may not resonate with this exact reading, but I did still want to pull them for you. Okay. So you guys had 3. The first one we have is Transformation. Your relationship with one another is about to deepen. Love conquers and transforms all things. Beautiful. So remember that. You can transform out of this situation. You just have to have love and faith. Okay. Next, we have Embrace. Through each other, you find the missing pieces. Okay, so yeah, being able to, confide in someone else, embrace someone else, to just feel that connectedness, okay? And then we have Sexual Union. Honor the place in one another where you are one eternal soul, for there you will find true bliss. Okay, so love your love messages. So those were nice little pick-me-ups. So group 4, that was your reading. I know this was kind of heavy, and I do apologize if this was a trigger warning for any of you, especially if you are currently going through something pretty heavy at the moment. I strongly encourage you to please talk to somebody if you don't feel comfortable talking to others. I'm not suggesting anything in this whatsoever as far as like anything negative, but I did still want to put that out there, especially for those of you who feel, just very stuck at the moment and feel like you just can't really, let out your emotions or let out your feelings to other people. So I definitely wanted to, reiterate that. And I'm also here for you guys too. So if you guys need anything, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. Feel free to message me, and I will do my best to get back to you guys. And, you know, I just want you guys to know that I do support every single one of you. And I thank you guys so, so much for watching and liking my videos, subscribing to the channel. It means so much to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, evening, day, wherever you are in this world. Stay blessed. Love you all, and have a good night. Bye.